I couldn't help but feel that something was lurking, waiting in the dark. The stairwell came into sight, and I breathed. When I reached the bottom step, I stood still. I was standing in the living room. Emma was standing there, staring at me. "What are you doing?" she asked, as though nothing was different. The world turned.
You are listening to the Fearcast. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill.
We've been in our house for more than 7 years. It's a small house, nothing elaborate, but it's ours. No basements there, no houses in our neighbourhood have them. You can't dig that deep in our neighbourhood anyway, not with the bedrock just under the surface. It's a good foundation, but it's also a limitation. Earthquakes? Never. This city's stability is a quiet grace, but there is one thing I can't help but notice: the sounds. It began one evening, just during the middle of sleeping. It was first a hum. I heard it quietly, like a weak whirring, but nothing unusual. I assumed it was likely the air conditioning or the pipes, but as the sound persisted, it became louder. We don't have a basement, but the sound was coming from beneath us, from deep within the ground. It was light at first, but I could sense it. This hum, this energy that had no place in our home. I tried to brush it off, to tell myself it was just the standard house sounds. But Emma knew. She stared at me, eyes wide with perplexity. "Do you hear that?" she whispered. I got up, walked to the middle of the room, and rested my ear on the carpet. The sound wasn't natural, nothing I'd ever heard before. It wasn't the whine of pipes or the groan of wood contracting. It was something wrong. Something that sounded like it was moving, alive, underneath the floorboards. I should have dismissed it. I should have instructed Emma to sleep, but something within me could not. The hum was now a voice, muffled and low, as if somebody was speaking in a language that I did not know. We could not sleep that evening. The sound continued, like the house itself was breathing and keeping secrets down below us. It was only the start. It began to happen more and more in the coming weeks. Sometimes it was barely audible, like murmurs in a tunnel. Other times it was something else, a thudding, like footsteps clattering up a staircase that didn't exist. I attempted to explain it. Perhaps it was the neighbours. Perhaps there was an animal in the walls. But the reality was, I had no clue what was going on. The house did not feel right, and I could not get rid of the sense that something was just on the surface. I did what every sane individual would do. I hired an inspector. He came over and inspected everything, pipes, foundation, walls, and told me that there was no basement under our house, nothing under the floor, no hidden rooms, nothing. And still, the sounds persisted. I even hired a pest control professional. He set traps, searched for evidence of animals, and did not find anything. No rats, no bugs. It was as if whatever it was causing the sound wasn't natural. That was when things took a turn for the worse. Late one evening, after Emma had gone to sleep, I found myself going into the living room for a glass of water. And that's when I saw it. There, in the far corner of the room, was a doorway, an entrance I was sure had never existed before. It was a dark space, like a door cut into the very wall itself. My heart pounded. I couldn't move at first, too shocked to respond. The air seemed to be heavy around me, as if something was observing, waiting. And then the stairs materialized. There was a narrow stairway that descended into darkness. There was no basement, no stairs, but they were there. I took a step forward before I could turn back. My arm was gripped by a hand. I spun around. Emma was standing in front of me in her nightgown, her eyes uncomprehendingly filled with something I had never seen. Fear, desperation. "Please," she said softly, "come back to bed. Don't go down there. There was something in her voice that stopped me in my tracks. There was something in her eyes that warned me and made me hesitate. She was frightened, and I knew it was more than the stairs. Something was different in her, in me, since the sounds began. But still, I was drawn to the door. It was calling me, as if inviting me to see what was down there. I wanted to go down, but I didn't, not yet. The following evening, I waited for Emma to sleep, and that familiar tug took over again, pulling me to the living room. The door remained, the stairs beckoning. There was no second guessing. I had to see. I mouthed a soft apology, moved forward, and went down. With each step, the silence echoed, the blackness enveloping me. I couldn't help but feel that something was lurking, waiting in the dark. The stairwell came into sight, and I breathed. When I reached the bottom step, I stood still. I was standing in the living room. Emma was standing there, staring at me. "What are you doing?" she asked, as though nothing was different. The world turned. I couldn't understand it. I didn't move, didn't speak. She pulled me back to bed, her hand on mine clutching tightly, as if she were afraid I'd vanish once more. The next day, I attempted to brush it all away. I told myself it was a dream, something caused by too little rest. But then came the changes. Small at first, subtle, practically undetectable. The fish tank was missing. I couldn't remember taking it out, but it had vanished. The furniture in the living room was altered, the walls painted a little lighter, as if overnight they had lost their intensity. Even Emma wasn't the same. She was colder, distant, like she wasn't the woman I'd married. Her eyes lacked the same warmth. I attempted to bring it to her attention, but she didn't recall. "What fish tank?" she inquired. "And what am I going on about? Everything is okay." Okay. But it wasn't. The changes persisted, slow and relentless. At night, I would head back to the stairs, always believing things would be better, somehow more familiar. Each time the same thing occurred, I would descend, and when I hit the bottom, I'd find myself back in the same location, in the same living room. But everything was different. Always different. The spiral deepened. My world turned into a haze of alternate worlds, moving homes, and people I knew who became mean. Emma was not the bride I wedded anymore. She was furious, vicious. I found myself living in a world where everything didn't add up. The sounds came more frequently, louder, as though whatever existed under the house was beginning to seep into my world. The stairs were always present, always looming, each step bringing me deeper into a distorted version of my existence. But I couldn't help myself. One evening, as I returned home to discover another couple in my bedroom, I came to realize the horrible truth. This wasn't my home. This wasn't my life. The stairs had stolen everything from me, and now they were going to steal her away as well. I'm trapped, can't stop falling, can't stop pursuing the changes. Because every time I think it will restart, I see that the spiral has simply worsened. And I wonder, how much lower can I go before I lose myself entirely? But there's a dark pull which forces me to return, a sinister call which I can't resist, a twisted obsession which I can't discard. Every step down is like it's pulling me closer to the truth, but the truth itself just keeps changing, becoming more and more elusive. Occasionally, when I wake up in the morning, I question if I've already lost everything, my life, my memories, even Emma. But then the stairs reappear. I can't resist it, I have to go down. What if this time? This time I'll discover what I've been looking for. What if I can get out of the spiral? But inwardly, I realize it's useless. The stairs are not supposed to be escaped. They're supposed to trap me. The stairs are not a circle. They're a spiral. And I'm falling.